All right. Sorry, doing that part too. Facebook.
Welcome to Drawing from the Collection Live. My name is Tiffany Wolf-Smith. I am Assistant Curator of Education here at the Modern Art Museum of Fort Worth. So we've been here every second Sunday during the pandemic, live at 2 p.m. This is our last live Zoom for Drawing from the Collection. Starting in September, the very first Sunday, we'll be meeting in person again in the museum's lobby at 2 p.m. Our first artist will be Clayton Hurt. So we hope to see y'all here. So joining us today is Fort Worth-based artist and educator Timothy Harding. Tim makes work that explores traditions of painting and drawing in relationship to sculptural and architectural space. He is represented by Chris Worley Fine Arts and teaches at Tarleton State University. Tim will also be back at the Modern in September on Wednesday evenings, leading our first in-person teen and adult studio. He will focus on the current special exhibition, Sean Scully, The Shape of Ideas. He is also about to open a new exhibition on August 28th at Chris Worley Fine Arts in Dallas. So be sure to get over there and check that out. So hi, Tim. Thank you for joining us today for Drawing from the Collection.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, so Tim, you have chosen a fan favorite work from the Moderns collection to look at today, Sol LeWitt's wall drawing number 50A from 1970. And this large scale drawing is currently on view in the East Foyer number 3 on the ground floor in the Moderns galleries. So Tim, tell us what you like about Sol LeWitt.
Yeah, I just really like how he thought about the potentials for art making in the 60s and 70s, and how painting or a drawing can exist in idea form, that it can be a set of instructions that may or may not be executed, and how that just opened up the possibilities for art making in the wake of his thoughts and ideas.
Yeah, he's a favorite of mine to do programming around too. It kind of lends itself to that.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you specifically like about wall drawing number 50A.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things I like about this particular work. I like how it exists kind of on multiple levels, where perhaps when you first walk into the gallery that it's in, that it may not register immediately like what's there. It has a subtle kind of glow of color to it. And when you or the viewer is in there and you kind of register the subtle glow, and it pulls you into the wall to kind of look at it a little bit closer, and then you kind of discover the really delicate, meticulous line quality that was used to make this thing. And then, of course, the way that it really carries that space, and the way that it responds to this like kind of that tight little gallery that it's in. I just think it's a really lovely piece to be around.
Yeah, it's a great one to get in real close and also stand back as far as you can too, and get the full breadth of it.
Yeah.
So we are excited to see what project you have for us. What materials do we need today?
Yeah, so for today, we'll just need some colored pencils, a piece of paper, a ruler would be ideal, and then a pencil sharpener, if you have one of those handy, would be good.
Okay. Yeah, making a lot of lines, pencil sharpeners are helpful. Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, cool. Well, we're going to go ahead and switch over and give control and spotlight to Tim, and we'll get started.
All right, great. Okay, guys. So yeah, with Sol LeWitt's wall drawing 50A, there's something I really like about this work is that a lot of decisions have already been made for us. I'm a big fan of eliminating decisions when it comes to art making. And so it's something I really enjoy about this work. But in terms of some of the few decisions that we do need to make is, again, we'll be using colored pencils or markers. Colored pens can also work. And ideally, we're going to want 12 of them. We're going to want 4 groups of 3 will be used in our drawing. And you know, I would encourage you when you choose your sets of colors to pick some colors that you think like interact nicely, play off of one another nicely. They're going to be layered and stacked in the course of this thing. And I'll go over the instructions here for the drawing in just a moment. So we have our sets of colors, which I've chosen mine here. And then the other thing to know that when we're working through this drawing, we have our colors chosen. And then another kind of set thing for us is that we're going to have 4 qualities or line orientations to work with in this drawing. So we're going to have horizontal lines, we're going to have vertical lines, we're going to have diagonal right lines and diagonal left lines. So these are the 4 kind of orientations of line that we have to work with here in this drawing. So we know that we have our colored pencils. And again, like I have this group of 3 I chose here. I just really like how you have this kind of richer blue, and then offsetting it with this like olive green that'll get layered on top, and then this kind of nice kind of plum color for my starting point. So we have these materials here for us. So as I flip over my sketchbook, I've kind of started, got a little bit of a head start here on this work. But so the instructions for wall drawing 50A is a wall, or in our case, a piece of paper, divided into 4 equal sections with lines drawn from corner to corner, right? So if you have like a light pencil, you could start with a light pencil as I did, but you have your ruler, of course, and then we've drawn one line from corner to corner, and then here, another line that has gone from corner to corner, giving us our 4 quadrants. Now, within each one of these quadrants that we have is one set of our 3 colors are going to be used. That's why we have our 4 kind of predetermined colors or sets of colors groups. Within each section is going to be 3 superimposed sets of lines, right? So as I said a moment ago, right, we have our horizontal, vertical, diagonal right, diagonal left lines, each group, each area using 3 of those. Now, for the one at the Modern, that particular work, each quadrant does have a unique combination of the sets of lines superimposed. As we're working here, though, of course, you can pick and choose whatever groupings you want to do, right? It's part of maybe some of the beauty of this particular wall drawing is that you could take these variables and change them any way you want, right? You could take your piece of paper, divide it up into further horizontal bands, and within each one of those, other combinations of lines, right? There's a lot of things you can kind of play with here if you wanted to. But nevertheless, I have my paper, it's divided into the 4 quadrants. And then something I also did, again, depending how exacting you want to be, and if you, again, I hope that you go and look at the LeWitt in person at the Modern if you have not seen it before, to really appreciate the precision with which this thing was executed, obviously using rulers and mapping things out. But what I've done is I've gone through and I've made hatch marks all the way along the kind of center divisions and the outer border of the paper that are all about 1/8 of an inch apart, right? So using my ruler, my lovely paint spattered ruler that I've had for, I think, literally since childhood. 1/8 of an inch, though, all the way around that thing. And you can use these as your kind of guide point, right? So I'm going to just kind of partially work through one of these quadrants. Start with my plum colored here. And it can be a slow, almost meditative kind of process of starting your groupings of lines, right? And so the first set I'm doing of course, are the vertical lines in one quadrant. And I have my mapped out points that I'm following here, right? Trying to be as even as possible. You could, if you wanted to, of course, even just do this freehand. It'd be much looser and have a different aesthetic to it than what the kind of mathematical precision that LeWitt often works with. And of course, as I mentioned, having your pencil sharpener handy if you work through this thing and want to keep it as crisp and clean as possible. Again, anyways, the precision and quality of line can be really, really quite lovely. I'm working through this. So I have the plum put down. And then you, of course, can imagine just going and finishing out that area a bit. And then I'll switch to this kind of olive color that I have. And again, I have my kind of mapped out points. Now I'm just going to work through with the horizontal lines being layered on top. And again, one of the things I just really love about this, it's process intensive. You can be as fussy as you like, but you don't have to come up with a lot of decisions about what to draw. He's kind of, LeWitt's instructions have told us what we need to draw, and now it's just a matter of us executing it to whatever precision and way that we would like. So that's one set of lines, of course, or two sets of lines, right, that I now have. And then I'll switch to my blue, right? In the case of this now, I'm going to work diagonally following the center division. And where, of course, you know, visually this thing really just starts to go to another level of intricacy is once the sections, all three sets of lines converge over one another. You can get a really kind of optically rich dynamic thing to occur. And of course, depending on the colors that you choose, these kind of like color vibrations and such can be really, really rich. And, you know, even if you did have colored pencils, you could do this in graphite. You could play with different, however hard or soft your graphite is and the quality of line that it makes, but kind of layering those together. But anyways, you get this grouping here where everything starts to play together color-wise, right? And then from here, of course, right, I'd work into another quadrant, switching to, say, another group of my pencils that I have here, and so on and so forth. And so, whoops. So this is kind of, again, a previous one. So you have the first grouping of color. I have another grouping of colors here. And again, because we've chosen different sets of colored pencils, right, you get different, again, these kind of like glows, if you will, of the color when they get kind of superimposed. And then as you keep working through this thing, right, and you fill it out, and then this is kind of my my rendition, right, of what of what LeWitt did, right? And the really incredible drawing here. And then like, again, when it comes to like first laying this thing out, again, if you draw your center axis and your hatch marks really, really lightly, you can see them here in my finished work, but you draw them really lightly and it'll allow the kind of, allow things to kind of bleed together maybe a little bit more softly when it comes to kind of colors and area. But yeah, that's my kind of, you know, quick exercise in terms of LeWitt and wall drawing number 58.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah.
The scale is different. It's totally doable to everybody at home. So I hope we had some people who are able to work along with us. But like always, we record and archive these as well. So you can come back and visit this project later. Remember to check out Tim in September with the adult studio class, and also go see his show at Chris Worley Fine Arts opening August 28th in Dallas.